Baruch, thank you for speaking to me today. Tell us what you do in your counseling center.
Hello, Mike, and you're welcome. In our counseling center, we have different clients with different problems, and some of the problems that people have is addictions. So we specifically address porn addiction. I'm leading two support groups, one in English and one in Hebrew. And we also have a group for women for overweight or emotional eating.
Can you outline briefly what you do in your groups to help people who are addicted to pornography?
In the support groups, we do it like this. People come, and then I do kind of short teaching, and then we go women with women, men with men, and then we talk about people's struggles. We personally use a method of so-called 12 steps. So this is what we base on. And normally we talk what was the trigger, what caused us to act out, and like on the short run, like what happened lately and what the triggers were. But also for the long run, we try to investigate, to see what causes us inner pain, which we try to medicate. And in this sense, 12 steps really help, and we methodically go through what happens in our souls, and we discover what causes us the main pain, and of course bring it to God and deal with this.
So in your experience, listening to people who talk about in the long run, the emotional issues, what kinds of things have you found are common?
Probably the most common are loneliness, low self-esteem, and rejection. Basically, when people speak about their triggers, it's somehow connected to the three which I mentioned, or maybe two of the three, or maybe all three together, but normally it's about low self-esteem, loneliness, and rejection.
So once they've discovered the roots, so to speak, what's the process that helps them to re-engage with life in a way that doesn't lead to ongoing addiction?
First of all, just coming to an environment where different people struggle with the same thing is already normalization, and it's liberating, and we put it into light, because we see that probably the main problem of people is fear and shame. When I feel problems in sexual area, I think maybe I'm sexual pervert, or something is deeply wrong with me, especially if I'm a good Christian. Why do I do this? So people see that actually many people struggle with this. Not that we justify it, but many people do struggle with this. And they also see it's not a sexual problem. The real root of the problem is emotional pain or lack of intimacy. And once they realize this, they feel so released, and they start working on their soul issues.
So beyond that, once a person has had that revealed to them and they understand what they are medicating, what are they likely to do to change life for themselves?
If so, we need at least briefly to go through 12 steps, because it really gives kind of the the roadmap for healing and restoration. First of all, they need to admit that they're not in control, that they lost control. Then they need to really believe that God actually can and wants to take them out of this pit. And then they need to become really ready to fight this battle, and by any price, really to be strong and fight with God. Then what we do, we see specifically where we have the most resentment or fear or such strong feelings which indicate the problems that we have in our souls. Then we bring them to God, and we continue with the 12 steps until we kind of clean up our souls, we change our behaviors, we change our attitudes, we become more like God, and then we feel much more healed and free.
So this would be for people who are Christians primarily, or would there
Yes.
be any others who would come?
At least at this stage, we offer these groups only to believers.
And how is the work received in the community of believers?
That's a good question because it's kind of controversial. Some leaders believe that it surely can't be in my congregation, and
So they don't believe that there's a problem of pornography?
they think,
maybe?
well, maybe it's with non-believers or with some kind of not so good churches, and that if you are really believing in God strongly, if you read your Bible, if you live what Yeshua told you, then you shouldn't basically struggle. And if not, there is something wrong with you. But many other pastors admit that the problem exists. It doesn't mean that person is bad, and they try, or at least they are willing to help, but many don't know how to help.
Is it possible to talk about a success rate? What percentage of people come in and get help, would you say? Are there those who leave who are not helped?
Okay, it's a bit tricky because whenever we speak about addictions, it's not black and white. It's not that I was addicted until this and this specific date, and from that date I'm totally free, never have any problem. It's a process. The person becomes, the temptations are still there, but they are less, and the person learns how to cope with them, how to overcome them. So, but if we don't judge kind of black and white, I can say that from my experience, I think one person really kind of dropped, but the other people, they continue in this or that capacity, and they make progress. I don't say that all of them are totally clean, don't struggle anymore. I'm not even sure that that's realistic, because until the rest, I personally believe, until the rest of our lives, we may have temptations and struggles. But they cope and they learn how to cope better and better with this. So yeah, the percentages are very high, I would say.
And finally, what would the goal be for your ministry from your point of view? What would you like to achieve?
We would like to, meanwhile, as far as I heard at least, looks like we are the only support group in the whole country. So our goal is to make a safe place, a safe haven for people who struggle with things which look to them awful and shameful, so that they can come to this safe place to be with other people who struggle also, to be understood, to be supported, and to be led to more freedom. So practically we want this to be available to every believer in Israel, not only in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem it's already available. As I said, there are 2 groups for more than 2.5 years. But we also would like that in other cities people also open such groups.
Baruch, thank you very much for speaking to me today.
You're welcome.